Well, hello. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for tuning in. So, as many of you know, I'm a remote viewer and I use a technique which is called heart centered remote viewing. And I was asked if I would remote view Donald Trump and the Epstein files that are being exposed. A lot of people are very upset that they attempted to bury the Epstein file. And people want to know how long Trump will be in the White House. I don't think he'll be there longer than 5 months. I'll just cut to the chase. The remotes tonight, I heard 5 months. Now, things change, but there are a number of reasons why I do not think that Trump will stay beyond 5 months. The first is that when I put myself in the shoes of Donald Trump, I just feel exhausted. I'm not physically well. I'm pushing 80 years old. I have not treated myself well. I lived my life the way I wanted to. I did it my way. I did prescription drugs, had a lot of promiscuity, blew a lot of money. And it catches up to you. So, as I had said before, when I went into the energy of the prescription drug use and also just observing it as a doctor, it looked to me like yo-yo drug use. So this is the kind of profile of somebody who takes amphetamines in order to stay up late at night because they work the casinos and they've got to be up till 3, 4 in the morning counting money. And many people in this industry did dexedrine and other amphetamines, which curb your appetite and help with weight loss, control your weight loss, but it also keeps you up late at night so that you look like you're peppy and energetic and you can keep up with the youngest person in the room. That can cause insomnia and problems sleeping. So, in order to counter that, these types of individuals will take sleeping pills or muscle relaxants, like benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines can cause slurring of slurring of your words. And so, for that reason, when this person gets up in the morning and has a press conference at 10 in the morning, they might say, orange, orange. And you hear that slurring like a person is drunk. And that's because benzodiazepines influence GABA levels in the brain. The mesolimbic dopamine system of the brain is infected. But the area of the brain that is similar to alcohol, which can raise GABA, this is what benzos do. Then you also have the muscle relaxant aspect, so it can help with pain and with muscles. So you basically have the profile of someone that's yo-yo on the drugs, uppers to stay awake and downers to go to sleep. It's like the song Paraphernalia by Paul Simon. Paraphernalia never hides your broken bones. I don't know why you'd want to try. You're on your own. Spare your heart. Everything put together falls apart sooner or later. Taking downs to get off to sleep and ups to start you on your way. And that's what we have with Donald Trump. 5 months. That's what I feel. This is a 5-month period. And there's a number of reasons why. The people that used Donald Trump, whether it was for the rebuild of Gaza, are not going to let him fulfill his fantasies in Gaza. But they will use him in order to get an open door into creating the kind of rebuild that is going to benefit the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords will survive. I don't think Donald Trump will survive long enough to see the fulfillment of the Abraham Accords. And that means the that Israel and the Arab countries uh, will make peace and they will rebuild Gaza together. But I don't think that Trump will be a part of it. I keep hearing 5 months. Now they're mentioning the names of everybody that was on Epstein's list. To be clear, nobody wants to look bad, whether it's Democrats or Republicans. And to be clear, Democrats and Republicans were both flying on the Lolita Express. So we have to acknowledge that Bill Clinton was on the plane, Trump was on the plane, Dershowitz was on that plane, RFK Jr. was on that plane, right? So we have to acknowledge that it had nothing, it wasn't, he was compromising Republicans and Democrats. He went from being a nobody to being a billionaire, and we have to ask ourselves where the money came from. There's no evidence he was a financier. There's no evidence that he was part of the stock exchange. It's all a front. And then you have to ask, who did he work for? And it would appear that he worked for U.S. intelligence and probably worked for Mossad as well. He worked for the West. And by working with the West and sharing information, he probably was able to stay out of jail. Let's go ahead. We'll do the empath's prayer, and we'll look at the future of Donald Trump. If you can like, share, and subscribe, I would appreciate it. I personally think he's finished. I think he's on his way out, and I think the reason why is because I can't physically fight back like I used to. I've got too much coming at me at once. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower us on our journey to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together we say, Amen. Let's go in. The future of Donald Trump. Why tariffs? What was the purpose of the tariffs? First off, it was to renegotiate contracts, perhaps, with certain countries, but it also means that taxes or money deficits can be paid by people who have to pay higher prices for items so that they don't have to increase taxes for the millionaires and trillionaires, because they gave themselves a bunch of tax cuts yet again. And we now have an additional 2.5 trillion in deficits as a result of the big bad bill. So how do you get the money back? By creating tariffs, and then the people have to pay extra, and then that money replaces the loss from not paying taxes. So we, the people, will yet again be put upon to clean up the mess of the millionaires and trillionaires. Trump has been under investigation, and he's been an informant for the FBI for a very, very long time. But his luck is running out. They accumulated knowledge on him for a very, very long time, and when they're done with him, they will discard him. In the end, he was a tool. He was a tool that they used, and when he no longer is of benefit to them, he will be removed. And that's what happens in the next 5 months. You can see the Constitution rules, and he is abandoned. He's abandoned not only Look, when they realize that they can't use him, they will systematically take him down. We're in the Truman Show. They show us what they want us to see. But what it looks like from a remote viewer's perspective is that he served his purpose. He was able to come in, help negotiate a peace deal between United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Israel by allowing Israel to do what they had to do in terms of clearing terrorists from Gaza, etc. And the UN, if you look at UN Watchdog, has been so corrupted that they needed something really radical in order to change things. And so in that sense, he was used. Where he's at right now, traveling. I see Trump traveling. I just don't think I can keep up. Six of Pentacles would indicate that he may try to shave or reverse some of the policies that he had created in the first place. All right, I'll give you a piece of chocolate. So this is the guy who starves you out, doesn't want you to have anything, and when you threaten to bang the door down, he agrees to give you a little something. So he has that Six of Pentacles over him. What is above him, that which is hidden will be revealed. The High Priestess reveals the hidden knowledge. What sits below him is the Star. He was blessed. He served some kind of a function. Maybe the function was to create peace in the Middle East. But here it is again. This King of Wands is coming to him. This aggressive pullback. I feel like he leaves and is allowed to retire. You know, I thought he would do time in prison. If the Democrats had won, he would have gone to prison. But instead, he's allowed to just leave and enjoy his retirement somewhere else. That could be the deal. It's either that or they prosecute him. April is significant. Where are we at right now? We're now in July, August, September, October, November, December. I think he could be out by Christmas. This guy has a lot of health problems. He's also beginning to lose his mind. I feel, you know, just looking at his profile as a doctor, you're looking at somebody who probably has diabetes, coronary artery disease, and with diabetes can come dementia and increased risk for Alzheimer's, right? So this is my card for Alzheimer's. When a person is confused and in the clouds, doesn't know what they want. Also, the moon can be lunacy. He has more secrets. You know, the big reason to keep hold of him or to try and get cooperation from him is because he has more secrets. His judgment has failed. The bottom line is that he loses the Republicans and he loses his constituents because he loses his judgment, and he's given the honor of resigning. Resigning because of health challenges is far more dignified than him being impeached and removed. And this could be that they offer him the dignity of a resignation in order to avoid trials and the humiliation of being impeached by the Republicans. His hope and fear is the legal authority. And the final outcome for Donald Trump is that he will hang the presidency up. The main reason that he hangs the presidency up is because of illness and an inability to keep fighting. That's the bottom line. And we also see in these cards that he will be pushed to resign because he simply lacks the judgment to continue on, which is something we saw with Ronald Reagan. Even though Ronald Reagan completed his term, he began to show symptoms of Alzheimer's during his second term. And that's in fact what you see here. You see a health challenge. It has a familial or ancestral aspect to it. I know his father had dementia. And so I think we're going to know probably within the next 5 months, we're going to see him stepping down and being given the honor of resigning in order to avoid impeachment. All right, I want to thank you for watching this remote view with tarot card reading. If you need to see me as a remote viewer, medical intuitive, or to receive a tarot reading, you can find all the information below this video. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We will see you next time. Thank you, everyone. God bless.